What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. We are back on the Italian train with a dish that is another one like the meatballs. It's probably long overdue. I'm doing a version of baked ziti. So it's a little bit cooler, so I feel like it's a good day to do this. I'm actually using rigatoni from the pasta shop. For this, any kind of shorter pasta will do, whether it's penne, ziti, rigatoni. Truth be told, I was never a big fan of ziti. It's just there's no ridges, there's no grooves. It just was a little bit blah. So whatever. I'm using the rigatoni. So this calls for a pound of pasta, and you need to make at least a quart of tomato sauce. I'd always use a little bit more for a couple reasons. I'd rather have too much than too little, and you could always garnish it with some fresh gravy on top or on the bottom of the serving plate when you're done. And also, you can always freeze it for another time. So the meat is optional. You can do this meatless, of course. I'm going to use a pound of sweet Italian sausage, no casing. So I'm going to do that with some onions and garlic and olive oil, of course. And then I'm going to do a mix of 3 cheeses. I've got ricotta, which is a softer cheese. It's spreadable. You know, some people, Paul Sunshine, they use sour cream, which is, I've seen recipes for ziti with that, but in this kitchen we're using the ricotta. We're using some sliced whole milk mozzarella, and we're going to use some grated pecorino romano. So I've done the gravy in advance. I just got that at a simmer. So what we're going to do is you try to time it out, do the pasta and the meat at the same time, and that takes about 10 minutes because you want the pasta al dente, because we're going to finish it off in the oven. So as best you can, your pan for your meat and your pot of boiling water, you want them done at about the same time. So like I do for my ground beef, to get a char on this sausage, I'm just going to put it in there and just kind of let it set for a couple minutes, let it build a crust, and then I'll break it up later. And you could spice it up with some fennel, oregano, what have you. I've got a lot of that stuff already in the gravy, so I'm not going to do too much with the sausage. But this is another thing. There's room for flexibility, for improv. So I got that started. And then when the sausage has built a crust, I would incorporate the onions and the garlic for at least 5 to 7 minutes. So I'm going to come back when the sausage and the pasta's all done, and then we will go from there to start building everything in here. So stay tuned. We'll be back. Alright, so we're back. So the pasta's just about done and the sausage is browned. So what I'm going to do is, for now, right before I strain the pasta, I'm going to take this sausage off the burner. So you can see all the pink's out. I can tell, like a piece like this, if you leave that sausage alone, you start to build a nice crust on that. So that's what I'm looking for with the sausage. So for now, I'm going to put that aside, and I am going to drain this pasta, and then I'll give you a quick tip on keeping it from sticking. Then we'll be back to assemble. So to make sure the pasta doesn't stick, what I would do after you strain it and put it back in the bowl, right before we start to assemble, is just coat it with a little bit of olive oil, and that will mitigate any sticking that might occur. So I'll be back in a second to stack this up. See ya. We're back real quick. Right before you start stacking, to start incorporating the gravy with the meat, what I would do, just take a couple ladles of your gravy and just get it mixed in with your sausage, just to start to marry them, because I don't want anything to be too dry. And this is another reason I like to be very generous with my gravy. always make more than you think you'll need. So that's another quick tip. So I will be back for reals this time, and we'll be stacking this up. See ya. Alright, we're back, and it is time to stack this up. So, depending on how hot your oven runs, I would do this anywhere from 350 to 365 for maybe 25 minutes. You just want to make sure all your cheese is getting melted, and again, just keep an eye on it, make sure it doesn't get burnt. So, get a nice deep baking pan. I believe this one's 9 by 13. Yeah, 9 by 13. So to start, just like you're doing a lasagna, to make sure that nothing sticks, for your first layer, just get some sauce, gravy, whatever you call it, on the bottom, just to make sure everything stays dry, or excuse me, so it doesn't get dry. So put this on the bottom as a foundation for your dish. So next I'm going to start with some cheese. So I'm doing a mix of mostly ricotta and mozz. No set measurements. I like to get big clumps, maybe like that, and just kind of put it in there, and maybe go, 3 over here, and then I'm going to alternate with this thinly sliced mozz. I'm going to put that in the middle here, and just get a nice cheese base for this bad boy. And again, there's no really wrong way to do it. I like to put the meat before the pasta, kind of like if you're doing lasagna, but this is a chance to kind of do what you want. So maybe starting like that. Next I'm going to do some of that sausage. Again, I like to incorporate some of the gravy in there just to keep it from getting too dry, and just get those flavors coming together all nice and good. So just kind of spread this out. The pound of the ground sausage should be enough to cover the bottom of your pan. So just get that working like this, and you can see this is starting to look pretty good. Sometimes when you cook, you actually look at it as it's coming together, and you say to yourself, "This is starting to look pretty good." I feel like this is one of those for me. So did the sausage. Going to do the same thing with the cheese. Now, if it starts to stick, which it is for me, just get a second spoon, kind of like you're working with cookie dough. For any of you bakers out there, that's always a good way to get everything scooped out of there without it sticking. So I'm going to go again with this mozz in the middle, and more of that ricotta on top. So as you can see, I'm not one of those Italians that goes too hard with the mozzarella and the ricotta. I mean, you can say it however you say it. It's all cheese and everybody likes it, so everybody should just lighten up about it. So before I do the pasta, I'm going to do a little bit more gravy. And get that spread. And now, I'm going to get my pasta and just spread it all over the top here. And then what I'm going to do is top it off with however much gravy I got left. And then I'm going to go maybe a little bit more cheese, and also haven't used it yet, but I'm going to use the grated Pecorino Romano on top. This is really coming together now. The dish can barely contain all the goodness. So I'm going to go A little more gravy. Gonna just space these out one more time. So then I'm gonna top this off once more with my my gravy, and this is pretty much a straight up marinara, you know, mix of a little bit of tomato puree, the San Marzano, with a little cheese, garlic, olive oil, oregano, parsley, and some fresh basil in there. I got from my mom today that she grows in the yard. So next, just going to do some cheese. And if you wanted to cook some Italian bread, I don't have any fresh, so I got to heat it up. You know, maybe the last 5 minutes or so. Oh, good thing that was empty. 5 minutes in the oven, that should be good. So, again, 25 minutes or so. Keep an eye on it. One last look before it goes in. We'll be back when it's done. See ya. Alright, so we're back. This is out of the oven. Just letting it cool for a second. So this is something that's good. This freezes well. Always good to heat up later at a later time, because you know this pan is literally, to quote Chris Traeger, filled to the brim. So this is going to be a nice hearty meal. So kind of like an easier lasagna, not as labor intensive, but kind of the same effect. So, you know, it might not stay perfectly, but just kind of scoop it out and portion it out. You can see there's already a lot of melted cheese in there, so there's a good shot right there. Look at that piece of cheese just melted. That's got to be the mozz. So there you go. Just kind of let it get in there. Maybe get a piece of Italian bread. Garnish it with some fresh basil. A little red wine. And you're good to go. So that's my my big ziti with the Italian sausage, ricotta, mozz, and pecorino romano. So I was giving Paul Sunshine a hard time earlier for using sour cream and not ricotta. I'd be remiss to not wish him and Tracy a happy 25th wedding anniversary. Have a good one, brother. We'll be back. Be good.